What do they want? Are we about to come face to face with them, whether we're ready or not? Find out from the world's leading experts in this very special edition of Raiders Live News Talk Radio. You're listening to RNN Radio, where thinking people tune in.
This is the Raiders Live News Talk Radio Show. I'm your host, Tom Horn, and as always, joined here in the studio today by that Triple Crown winner who alone can explain the four ponies of the apocalypse. What? And who else but the guitar-assassinating wild man, Joe Artis. We welcome you back to this special edition of Raiders Live News Talk Radio on this timely subject, official disclosure, prepare for contact. You've no doubt heard recently about the Royal Society, that National Academy of Scientists out of the UK, who is a part of its 350th anniversary celebrations, recently brought together what they called, quote, some dizzying intellects, end quote, to ponder the emergent field of astrobiology and to ask this deep question, are we alone in the universe? Now, Vatican astronomers have been weighing in on the question, too. Their top scholars have been hinting that, in fact, we might not be alone. And a recent poll addressing how official disclosure could alter social ideas, including religious ideas, reveals that the public is also deeply considering this possibility that soon we might be faced with evidence of an extraterrestrial, or maybe better said, extra-dimensional intelligence. Well, to help us wrap our mind around this fascinating proposal that the Earth could soon be contacted by ultra-terrestrial unknowns, we have been interviewing all of this week some of the world's leading authorities, researchers, scientists, field investigators, government agents, and theologians on the ramifications of alien encounter. It is our privilege this morning to spend the next hour with pastor, biblical scholar, and co-host of Prophecy in the News, Gary Stearman. Now, Gary grew up in the world of aircraft design. In fact, beginning in 1925, at the years before being sold to Boeing during the war, Stearman Aviation produced a variety of aircraft in which Gary's uncle, great-uncle, father, other family members were actually the designers, builders, and manufacturers of those famous planes. Now, while in engineering school himself, Gary felt called to write, and he added studies in linguistics, languages, including Greek, and Shakespearean research. So that's where that refined eloquence comes from that we'll be hearing here in just a moment. It was during that time that Gary honed his research skills that would later take him into the deepest studies of Scripture. For the last 27 years, Gary's been the pastor of the Bible church known as Grace Fellowship in Oklahoma City. Since 1987, he has worked in partnership with JR Church and Prophecy in the News, producing a monthly magazine, weekly television programs, and webcasts. But it is Gary's belief that we are now living in prophetically significant times, a time when the dark spirits of old are beginning to openly reveal themselves, masquerading sometimes as visitors from other worlds. In other words, this is the very man that we need to be talking about in this series of interviews, or talking to. Talking about? Well, maybe we'll do that here in a moment. So from behind his reinforced walls of his secret laboratory somewhere near Oklahoma City, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to this special edition of Raiders Live News Talk Radio, Gary Stearman. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Pretty good.
Hey, after that introduction, I'm going to have to sit up a little straighter in my chair. But I'm ready to talk about the obsession that we have in the world today. Are we alone? Is anybody out there? Man seems obsessed with answering that question.
Well, that's right. Now, one quick question before I ask you about what's out there. What about what's down here in Oklahoma? Has it thawed out down there yet?
You know, we got a little snow, and it's supposed to melt, but then a little more is due to come in next Sunday. So it's strange. This global warming has really got a lot of snow falling.
Yeah, I think they found Al Gore frozen to a tree somewhere, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, we got a lot of territory to cover, and I want to talk to you in particular about some of your research into this area of extraterrestrials, or more appropriately, as I said a moment ago, in my opinion, extra-dimensionals, but we'll hear what you have to say about that. And I want to get your response starting out to this avalanche of recent news concerning this idea, are we alone in the universe, coming out of the Royal Society. I must have 15 headlines sitting in front of me just from the last 7 or 8 days. News people everywhere just don't seem to want to let this question go. One of the headlines just from the last few days, the #1 astronomer for the Queen saying E.T. might be looking right at us and we don't even recognize them. Starting out, what can you tell us about these meetings and the material that seems to be all over the news right now about this?
Well, everybody knows the term X-Files, and the UK has, in the Public Records Office, has hoarded these X-Files for literally decades. The United States has done the same thing, and there's almost been a religious silence. When you talk about a religious silence, I'm thinking of the Vatican, for example, which has on its index many secrets from ages past and really invented the idea of above top secret. And in their files, the Vatican has dealt with strange lore from down through the ages, put that all on file. And so it's not a surprise to me that the Vatican, European governments, perhaps even the United States, have arrived at the point where they believe now it's time to ask the big question.